give you the mighty Van-halen!
Oh, look at all the people here tonight!
It is now officially 51-50.
You ever speak to me like that again, you better be wearing a cup.
Baby steps.
One break, I'm in up.
Let's everybody take your positions, please. Here we go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, rolling. Dave!
And
Dave!
Unchained.
welcome to Dave and Dave Unchained, a Van Halen podcast. I'm Dave.
And I am Dave.
And we are at episode 47. And it is the month of November, Dave. We are crossing off the days on the calendar, and we are in Thanksgiving mode. So it is time of the year to be thankful. So what are you thankful for this time, Dave?
I am thankful that I'm still friends with you. We got this podcast going.
Okay, yeah, I am thankful for that as well, of course. That's always number one. And, of course, we are thankful that Ed seems to be on the mend and that Dave seems to still be playing Vegas. So the circle is in full motion and things are still moving in the Van Halen camp, although things are a little thin in this time of year in terms of news, so we might as well get to it now, to Van Halen News.
Van Halen.
Well, unfortunately, we have some very, very, very sad news, and I'm sure a lot of you listening have already heard that our friend Bart Walsh, the former guitarist for the Atomic Punks, which is the original Van Halen tribute band, and more importantly, the former guitarist for David Lee Roth's solo career from 1999 to 2001, Bart Walsh, he passed away suddenly, which was absolutely shocking. Bart was 56 years old, only a few years older than Dave and I, and it is with a heavy heart that we lost him. And I literally thought it was a hoax, Dave, when I heard it. I really didn't believe it because, you know, Bart was a guy that was full of life. I mean, he was bouncing off the walls whenever you talked to him, and he was full of energy, and he always had a million projects going. And he was a guest on our podcast back in July. And he was fun, and he was funny, and he was colorful, and he's a sick guitarist. And we got a lot of great feedback on our episode with Bart. Everybody loved him. He was so funny, and he's a guy who not only worked with Dave and did the Atomic Punks with Ralph, but he loved Van Halen music, the old school Van Halen from 1978 to 1984. He loved it so much, and he was fantastic at performing it on guitar. We couldn't put this on the podcast because of sound issues, but Bart, when we did an interview with him, would rip into some licks. And he would like blow out the sounds on the phone when we were trying to interview him, and it was reverberating. We couldn't put that on the podcast, but he's an incredible player, and we will miss him greatly. We were looking forward to having him back on because he was working on a Van Halen project called 6 Degrees of Van Halen, where he was having musicians who have associated with the band in many different ways, played with Dave solo here and there, and he was putting together a band that was going to play Van Halen music from 1978 to 1984. So he was in the process of doing that. He was also in the process of doing a solo album. Bart, we miss you very much. Dave, were you shocked when you heard this?
I was, because I was like, we just spoke to the guy.
Yeah.
You know, it was just really strange that we had just spoken to him a few months ago. And like you said, he had all these plans. It renews your perspective on life.
Yeah, sure.
Because he was only like 7 years older than us.
Yeah,
so
it was crazy.
It was very sad and unfortunate to see him go. Great guitarist, really funny guy.
Right.
And we'll miss him.
Yeah, real character. He had such a unique spirit and crazy musicianship, very talented on the guitar. He had such an interesting accent like Ozzy Osbourne, he had like a certain rhythm to the way he talked. It was very colorful and funny. It was very interesting to hear him tell a story. So we will miss you, Bart. Miss your humor, your spirit, and of course your musicianship. So, all right, we are on to other Van Halen news, and listen to this. So, of all people, Michael Anthony came out and made a comment on Instagram, which I thought was kind of interesting. What he did was, after Circle's last show for their 2019 tour in Orlando, Florida, he went on Instagram and he announced there's big plans for next year. Stay tuned and check out the Circle Instagram page. And then he put hashtag see you soon. So what do you think he meant by that, Dave? What do you think he was referring to?
I don't know. I'm trying not to get too excited because he's done that before. I remember it was like towards the end of the year, maybe even New Year. He was like, have a happy New Year, see you next year. Same kind of thing, like big things are coming. And of course, that always fuels the Van Halen reunion rumors,
Right.
And then as usual, nothing happened.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe the Circle's going on tour again.
Yeah.
Maybe they're picking up the dates that they didn't do in 2019 because we all thought Mikey was going to tour with Van Halen.
Right.
And that didn't happen. So they're going to do the touring part 2. They're going to do more touring.
That could be. Well, I have a feeling what he's referring to is the Circle. But here's an interesting question, Dave. Can you imagine if, remember we talked on the last podcast, okay, the Wolfgang Trio, the VH Trio, if Wolfgang went out and fronted, a band with Eddie on bass and Alex on drums and him playing guitar and singing, and they toured with the Circle. What a package that would be. The reason why I bring this up is because one thing I'm starting to notice now more than ever is these promoters are putting together these interesting packages that are drawing people to buy tickets. As we record this, okay, in mid-November, there is a rumor going around that there is a stadium tour being put together with Motley Crue, Def Leppard, and Poison.
Stadium or arena?
A stadium tour.
Now, I thought the Crew said they weren't going to tour anymore.
Of course. But then when someone comes to the Crew and gives them a truckload of cash, there's a whole thing going on. It's interesting. A lot of people have said that Vince Neil canceled a bunch of his last solo dates. He got off the road. Apparently, he's working on getting himself in shape and, mending fences with Tommy Lee and all of these things. I have no idea, but this is what's going on. As we all heard, the Black Crowes have got back together. How did the Black Crowes get back together? Everybody thinks, they let bygones be bygones and they're brothers again. No. Live Nation went to the Black Crowes, okay? They realized it's the 30th anniversary of the band. It's the anniversary of their debut album, Shake Your Moneymaker. Why don't we get the Black Crowes together for their 30th anniversary to play Shake Your Moneymaker, their most famous album, in its entirety, with a few extra hits, and go out on tour? And they put that package together and they pitch it to them, and the guys sign to it, and they go with it. Now, the Black Crowes are not the Black Crowes.
Right.
Johnny Colt and Mark Ford and Steve Gorman are not in the band, but just the Robinson brothers. That's not exactly... And they're doing like what Dave is doing. Like, they have a bunch of guys they're hiring to learn the material. And I'm sure they're excellent. They played on the Howard Stern show. They sounded great. And they played the Bowery Ballroom here in New York. And then they played a show on the West Coast as well. They sound great. But that's what's going on because they need to get the touring landscape excited. Okay? They just put Marilyn Manson on Ozzy's tour as a special guest. They're doing anything and everything to make these shows more enticing. Ozzy Osbourne with Marilyn Manson opening. Like, they're doing anything and everything. I think we're also going to see, I don't know this for a fact, but I have heard rumors of Richie Sambora coming back to Bon Jovi. I've heard all kinds of stuff. Brian Johnson coming back to AC/DC, and they're touring behind the Back in Black 40th anniversary tour. I mean, they're doing anything and everything these days to put. So I'm wondering, they say, hey, Sam, you don't want to play with Ed? No problem. What about if we put a package tour together? The Circle with the VH Trio. Fans would eat that up. Who knows? This way, they don't even
I think that's a great idea,
Yeah.
and I'm sure somebody's trying to pitch it, but there is no way that Ed is going to tour with Sam, even if he's not singing with him.
Really? You don't even think, even if they don't even have to see each other, not even in the same band?
No, because Ed does not need the money.
Yeah.
And he is not going to go on, and he's going to be like, why am I doing this? Why am I going to be miserable?
Right.
I can't speak for Ed, obviously, but, I mean, Sammy didn't burn that bridge. He nuked it with the book.
That's true.
And he keeps throwing bombs with every interview he does. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
So, and I think Ed's just at the point of his life now.
Yeah.
He's just going to do what he likes to do.
Maybe.
And if the stories are true, and he's going to go out next year with him and Al and Wolf and promote Wolf's album, then he'll do that. Now, will somebody try and put those three on a package tour with somebody? Sure, why not? Maximize it.
Right.
But if
yeah.
somebody went to Ed and said, hey, we're going to have you tour with the Circle, Ed's going to be like, you want me to tour with Sam and Mike? No. No, I'm not. No. I mean, look, he effectively just told Dave to take a hike, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
So you think he's going to want to start? Well, you never know.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? With this band, who the heck knows? I mean, my point is, great package idea, Dave. And, I mean, really, and I think they'll go on a package tour.
Yeah.
But I would not place any money on Sam.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we'll have to see about that. Now, Ed is popping up again in pictures. We have two that came out. More pictures of Eddie Van Halen are popping up on the internet. Wolfie Instagrammed the photo of Eddie Van Halen with Valerie Bertinelli and him. And Wolf all together, the three of them. Wolfie Instagrammed the photo of Ed and Val, and with the line that just said family with a heart and a little photo emoji. Everybody looked happy. They were all together. That was interesting. Then he popped up at Dr. Todd Landman's office where they showed Ed, next to Dr. Todd Landman, who was a spinal neurosurgeon. And he posted that on Instagram with a picture of Eddie in his office saying, great seeing Eddie Van Halen in my office yesterday. The moment was captured on film there, and it said, and then hashtag movement is life. And I don't, what is he doing in a spinal neurosurgery office? Dave, what do you make of that?
I don't know. Apparently, and I say apparently because I can't swear on this on a stack of Bibles, but apparently he is a doctor of Janie's, Ed's wife.
Okay.
And I say apparently because, like I said, I guess that's hearsay for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I think he was doing there.
Okay.
But anyway, regardless of whatever the reason he was doing there, he looked okay. He looked good. And, always glad to see Ed out and about. I just would love to see Ed with a guitar in his hand.
Yeah. Well,
out and about.
Hopefully that's coming. So now Wolfie continues. He briefly and quickly addressed the status of his long-awaited solo album on Instagram. When Shred Central point blank asked him, any updates on your album, Wolf? And Wolf responded, it's coming, I promise. People then responded, we can hardly wait, and this and that. And what do you make of that?
All right. I mean, Chinese democracy was coming too.
I know. It's hard to believe.
And it did come out. It did.
So, it did finally come out. It was years later, but it finally came out.
Like I said, I'm really curious about it, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. So whenever you're ready, Wolf, we're ready to listen.
It seems like there are some plans in motion there. I just get the feeling that once we get past the holidays, we get into January, I don't know, maybe we'll find something out at the NAMM show or something will be announced.
But Dave, we said the same thing last year.
I know.
Or rather, with this year. We said the same thing 12 months ago.
I know. You're right. We could always hope, I guess.
Right. Well, I hope next year is the year it happens.
We'll see, because time is a-ticking. Now, speaking of time, David Lee Roth has a clock on his head because obviously he's going to be debuting